Now, I never entirely trusted the kid. I used him mainly to feed misinformation back to Capone. Then one day, the kid asked to see me alone. He told me that Capone, through Treasurer Jake Guzik, had asked him to make a delivery. And he put an envelope in my hands. Inside the envelope were 2 crisp bills. $1,000 bills. Lay off Capone, he said, and there'll be an envelope just like that one on your desk every Monday. I was making less than $3,000 a year, and I could see how a fella could be tempted. Instead, I'm afraid I lost my temper. I grabbed that kid by the front of the shirt and I slammed him up against the wall. I tore his shirt open and I shoved that envelope back down in there and I said, "Kid, you take this money back to them and you tell those bastards that I may be only a poor baker's son, but Eliot Ness cannot be bought. Not for $2,000 a week, not for $10,000, not for $100,000, not for all the bloody money they'll ever lay their hands on. And kid, you give that money back to Guzik, every penny of it, or I'll tear you apart with my bare hands." Watterson plopped down and grinned up at me like a goofy 6-year-old. "So, you're the head man in the torso case, Mr. Ness." This was a typical bad joke of his. Most of the heads of the victims hadn't been found. I said, "I've taken over the case, yes." And when we attached the belt around his chest with the rubber tube and the armband to monitor blood pressure, Watterson said, "What's this? The electric chair?" "Not yet, Mr. Watterson. You understand how the polygraph works?" "It measures changes in body chemistry brought about by emotional response." "That's right, Mr. Watterson." "But what if you get someone who's in complete control of their emotions?" "Well, then I guess they'd beat the machine, wouldn't they?" "Who is that taking the measurements?" "It's Dr. Keeler." "Does he know what he's doing?" "Oh, I think so. He invented the lie detector. That, at least, seemed to shake my subject up a bit. Now, Mr. Watterson, limit your answers to yes or no." "No, first you answer me yes or no, Mr. Ness. Is this lie detector admissible as evidence?" "No." "Well then, what's the harm? Shall we?" I questioned him about the individual murders, whether he knew the victims, whether he'd killed the victims. No. Watterson seemed absolutely cool. Was he so controlled a sociopath that he actually could beat the machine? Finally, I took Dr. Keeler aside and we had a whispered confab. "Well, Leonard?" "Oh, that's your man. You're sure? If it isn't, I should throw my machine out the window." I suggested to Watterson and Dr. Keeler that we take a break for lunch. I called down to room service and ordered 3 steak lunches. Soon we sat at trays eating our steaks. Watterson seemed to delight in holding that sharp steak knife in his fist. We were just finishing up when Watterson said, "So, Mr. Ness, what do you think?" "Oh, Mr. Watterson, I think you killed those people." Suddenly, he lurched forward, that knife gleaming in his fist, his eyes gleaming too. I yelled for my men next door, but they didn't come. And then, thank God, Watterson threw the knife down. He looked at me and he said, "You think I did it? Prove it." And he bolted out the door. Hey, I didn't go after him.